There are souls who arrive in this world already bearing an invisible engraving, a mark within their divine blueprint. They don't look at life merely through their eyes, but through a vast inner stillness, living deep inside the heart. And if you're hearing these words right now, it may be because you belong to life path number 7. People often say intelligence is a gift, but for the 7, acute wisdom can feel like a tender kind of curse, because the more you understand, the fewer people can truly walk beside you. The more you see through things, the harder it becomes to trust. The more your mind turns inward with profound intellect, the more easily you slip into a kind of sacred solitude that others can't even name. Have you ever felt that? Standing in the middle of a crowd, yet your inner world feels cold, wanting to say so much, and then choosing silence, not because you have nothing to share, but because you're afraid of being misread, misunderstood, reduced. Surface-level conversations drain you, as if you've just walked through a storm. And somewhere in you, a quiet question begins to echo. Am I different? Am I slowly disappearing from this world, even while I'm still living inside it? If your answer is yes, then stay with me. Because in this video, we're going to touch a truth that very few people dare to say out loud. Does life path 7 become more solitary, the more cerebral they become? And more importantly, how do you stop sacred solitude from turning into a lifelong exile? Welcome, traveler of hidden questions. You're here at Numerology Chronicle, where we don't only speak about numbers, we speak about the soul stories concealed behind them. And if you are a life path 7, or you love someone who carries the frequency of 7, listen until the very end, because you will receive 3 crystalline insights. You'll understand why you're not difficult, as people casually label you, but simply someone who longs for truth and depth more than the crowd does. You'll recognize why, as you grow older and your awareness sharpens, you can feel more and more out of place. Not because something is wrong with you, but because the 7 is born with a soul contract to see beyond the surface of life, to perceive the hidden architecture, the symbolism, the archetypes moving beneath ordinary reality. And finally, I'll offer you 3 grounded practical actions, not vague spiritual advice, so you can connect with the right people, the right vibrational frequency, without forcing yourself to become a pleasant version of you just to earn someone's approval. If these words are touching something real inside you, subscribe to Numerology Chronicle and turn on notifications, because each video here is a small lantern, so you don't have to cross the darkness alone. And now, we begin with the most familiar ache of the 7, loneliness, not because you lack people, but because you lack the feeling of being truly understood. You know, life path number 7 is rarely solitary in the simple sense of no one is around. Your sacred solitude is far more subtle than that. It's when laughter still circles the room, messages still arrive, plans are still made, yet inside you, something feels hollow, like a brightly lit house where no one has truly entered. You are like a lone lighthouse in the open sea. You radiate a powerful beam, the light of acute wisdom, of intuition, of piercing insight. And precisely because that light is so strong, few ships dare to come close. People see it, and either they admire it, or they feel exposed by it. So you stand there, quietly guiding others through their storms. While having no shore to lean on when your own waves rise, there are moments when you're sitting with friends in a party, hearing stories and small talk unfold, and yet you feel as though you're standing behind a sheet of transparent glass. You see everything. You hear everything. You understand everything, even what isn't spoken. You sense the strain behind the laughter, the hesitation behind the jokes, the roles people wear like masks. You nod, you smile, you answer. Just enough. But deep within, Your essence cannot touch anyone, not because you're arrogant, only because you cannot tolerate shallowness. And there is a kind of exhaustion you carry that's almost impossible to explain. Exhaustion from talking politely, from laughing on cue, from pretending to be entertained by things you saw through long ago. Sometimes you wonder, why can't I be carefree like everyone else? And then you blame yourself for being cold. But the truth is, you are simply yearning for a conversation deep enough for your soul to breathe. You're often misunderstood. People call you distant, hard to approach, quiet. Always like you're in another world. Some even say you're proud, when really, you're observing carefully to make sure. Am I safe here? Is this person genuine? You don't open your heart easily, because when you do, you don't open it halfway. You offer your full trust, your most private thoughts, the fears you've hidden so well you rarely dare to name them yourself. And because you know, intimately, the sting of betrayal, being dismissed, being mocked, you choose silence. Silence as protection. Silence so you don't have to translate realities you already know. They will not understand. Sometimes you want to speak a truth, a clear observation, a piece of feedback that could truly help. But you swallow it, because you can already see what comes next. The uncomfortable stare, the bruised ego, the sudden shift in someone's energy, the moment you speak with honesty. You don't want to hurt anyone. You only want clarity. But in this world, clarity is sometimes mistaken for cruelty. And so, you learn to live as a traveler carrying an inner compass. You move through relationships as if moving through stations along a long road. Greetings, courtesy, kindness, and then retreat. You don't cling. You also don't want to be clung to. You want something that is so simple, and yet so rare. Someone refined enough to understand that your silence is born from depth, not indifference. The most hidden ache of life path number 7 is this. You long to be understood, and yet you fear being seen too clearly. You want someone to enter your inner world. But the moment someone steps closer, you unconsciously take a step back. You're afraid they'll discover the shadowed corners, afraid they won't be able to hold your complexity, afraid they'll judge you, afraid they'll leave. So you choose to be alone, not because you don't need anyone, but because you cannot bear losing again. There are nights when you sit with yourself, no dramatic tears, no confessions spilled into the air. You simply stare into the quiet and feel one question looping in your chest. Does anyone truly understand me? And then you smile, as if even you don't believe that question has an answer. If you're nodding right now, if it feels like someone just read your private journal, remember this. You are not broken. You are not strange. You are an ancient soul designed to go deep. And when you go deep, sometimes you must walk a long stretch alone. But wait. Don't rush to conclude that your destiny is isolation. Because the moment you understand why this pattern exists, you also learn how to find the right person and the right shore to finally anchor. If what you just heard made you think, why does this feel exactly like me? Then let's go one layer deeper, not to label you, but to bring a lantern into the inner chamber so you can see why you are this way and why it was never wrong. In numerology, life path 7 is the pilgrim of truth. You didn't come here to skim the surface of life. Your essence came here to question, to excavate, to lift the veil that others rarely notice. While many people look at life with their eyes, the 7 sees through depth. And that depth is both your gift and the very thing that can lead to sacred solitude. Have you noticed? You rarely believe what people say right away, not because you're suspicious for no reason, but because inside you lives an invisible filter whispering, Is it true? What is the essence beneath it? Where is the motive hiding? When you hear a story, you don't only hear words, you hear the hesitations between them. When you see a smile, you don't only see joy, you sense the fear behind it. In the middle of a conversation, you can feel it instantly. Is this person speaking truth or speaking for approval? That is the seven's gift, to see through the surface. But life holds a paradox. When you see through too quickly, you lose the innocence required to find life easy. You start noticing what feels unreal, what feels shallow, what feels unreliable. And instead of flowing with the crowd, you stand apart, like a conscious being inside a crowded dream. This is why people say, the more cerebral you are, the more alone you become. Not because wisdom creates isolation, but because the seven's profound intellect often walks hand in hand with heightened sensitivity and intuition. You don't only analyze, you also feel. And when you feel too clearly, you grow tired of the social games others call normal. Talking just to fill space, laughing at the right moments, being close for appearance, meeting because it's proper. You don't hate anyone, but your essence cannot tolerate pretending. And then, at some point, the seven's self-protection activates like a heavy stone door. If it's not safe, I will not open. So you retreat inward, you observe, you verify, you wait. But the longer you wait, the fewer chances you have to meet someone aligned. And the fewer chances you have, the more you start believing, maybe no one will ever understand me. And the loop forms. You crave deep connection, but fear being wounded. You fear being wounded, so you withdraw. You withdraw, so you become more alone. And the more alone you become, the more guarded you are. A quiet spiral? Not because you lack love, but because you are protecting something sacred within you that you've learned the world doesn't always know how to hold. This is the quiet trap of life path number 7. Trap 1. You begin to believe you're different, and you unconsciously place yourself outside. You may never say it out loud, but inside you, a distance forms, as if you're standing on one shore, watching people laugh and play on the other, and you're not sure whether you even want to swim across. Trap 2. You wait for someone who will just get you. But the truth is, very few people intuit your inner world unless you open even a small door. The 7 has a beautiful silence, a sacred stillness. But sometimes that silence becomes a declaration that says, don't come closer. Trap 3. You trust logic so much, you forget that humans live through feeling. You crave clarity. You want what is true. You want what is right. But often, what people need isn't a truth sharpened like a blade. They need a truth carried with softness. And because you are so deep, so real, so precise, you can unintentionally make others feel small. They won't say it, but they'll retreat. And when you sense them retreating, you think, see, no one can stay with me. So you choose solitude again, like choosing a shelter. But listen closely to this part. Life Path 7 is not destiny bound to sacred solitude. Your divine blueprint is awakening, understanding yourself, understanding life, and remembering the deeper layers others forget. Solitude is only a temporary price when you haven't yet found the right people, the right environment, and the right way to connect. And in a moment, I'll give you 3 concrete actions. Not vague, not theoretical, so you can keep your depth and stop standing alone in the open sea. And now, we arrive at the most important part. Not so you can fix yourself to fit the world, but so you can learn to live in true alignment with the energy of Life Path 7, still profound, still refined, yet no longer condemned to live like a lighthouse that only guides others, while remaining unseen. Guidance 1. Change your terrain before you change your personality. Place yourself, intentionally, where depth already lives. For the 7, the issue isn't that you're hard to approach. The issue is that you're trying to find water in the middle of a desert. You crave meaningful conversation, introspective people, souls with inner life and contemplation. But you keep searching in places where people go only to release stress, kill time, or perform an identity. The result? The more you go, the more drained you become. The more you meet, the more alien you feel. Why this works for Life Path 7. 7 energy is the energy of the truth seeker. Learning, observing, reflecting. You bloom in environments of knowledge, quiet, and depth. And when the environment is aligned, you don't have to force belonging. Connection happens naturally, through synchronicity. Do this within 7 days. Choose one deep frequency space to join. You don't need many. A book club, a skill class, a workshop, a meditation, yoga group, a research community, a low-noise creative circle, or a contemplative volunteer activity. Rule: attend at least 2 sessions before deciding, it's not for me. The first time, you simply observe true 7 nature. The second time, you begin to speak. You don't need to find many people. You only need to stand in the places where your people naturally appear. Guidance 2. Use the 3-step staircase to open your heart. Open selectively, not all at once. Life Path 7 often gets trapped between 2 extremes, either complete silence or 1 moment of opening. And you pour out everything, then feel exposed and regret it. After a few misunderstandings, the 7 learns to lock the door and whisper, "It's safer if I keep it all to myself." But your essence wasn't born to stay sealed forever. You need a safer way to open, like opening a door in stages. So you keep your privacy without turning yourself into an island. Why this works for Life Path 7. 7 energy needs trust and time. You don't trust quickly, but when you do, you trust profoundly. The 3-step staircase helps you test the other person in the natural rhythm of your soul contract, so you don't get wounded by rushing. The 3-step staircase. Practice now. Step 1. A gentle truth. Share a preference, a habit, something you're reading or listening to. Step 2. A deeper truth. Share what you're learning, a life lesson, a meaningful perspective. Step 3. A fragile truth. Share a fear or a wound only after they've passed the test of time. Respect, consistency, and the ability to truly listen. 3 effortless opening lines for the 7. Lately, I've been reflecting a lot on something I learned recently is I'm drawn to deep conversations. Are you like that too? You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need to open the right step with the right soul. Guidance. 3. Choose one-to-one connection over crowds and use 3 questions to go straight into depth. Life Path 7 doesn't thrive in loud performative connection. Crowds demand that you act more. Polite laughter, surface talk, matching other people's rhythm. But in a one-on-one space, that's where the 7 truly comes alive. Listening, observing, touching the inner landscape. Why this works for 7. Energy. 7 energy is the frequency of privacy and depth. When you connect one-to-one, you reduce noise. You stop leaking energy trying to blend with the group. And most importantly, you create the conditions for a relationship that can actually touch the soul to form naturally through alignment and synchronicity. Do this week. Choose one person who feels the most deep in your circle. They don't have to be your closest friend. Send a simple message. I'd love to invite you for a 30-minute coffee. Just something light. During the meeting, use these 3 questions. Deep, but not heavy. 1. What's been capturing your attention the most lately? 2. Is there anything you're learning about yourself right now? 3. If you could slow life down, what would you want to change? For the 7, one real conversation is worth more than 10 empty meetups. And hear me when I say this. Life Path 7 wasn't born to dissolve into the world. You were born to illuminate, but not to illuminate in isolation. When you stand in the right environment, open in the right measure, and choose the right way to connect, you will meet people who are not afraid of your depth. They will see your light, and they will stay. And if you've walked with me through these layers of mist around Life Path 7, you can feel one thing clearly now. You are not flawed. You are not hard to love. You are simply an ancient soul born to go deep. And when you go deep, you cannot survive on shallow connection. The 7 solitude is not because you lack people. It's because you lack the right people. You lack a space quiet enough to be yourself, a rhythm slow enough for trust to take root, a form of connection deep enough that your essence no longer has to talk only to itself each night. But today, at least you hold 3 keys in your hands. Stand in the right terrain. Open your heart in the right steps. Choose the right way to connect. And as you take each small step, the lighthouse will no longer stand alone in the sea. There will be ships, unafraid of storms, unafraid of night, finding their way to your light. If these words touched you, leave a sign for the universe that you are ready. Comment this affirmation under the video. I am Life Path number 7. I choose to connect with the right people on the right vibrational frequency. And if you want to continue decoding your soul through numbers, subscribe to Numerology Chronicle and turn on notifications. Each video here is a page in your divine blueprint, so you can understand yourself more deeply, live more lightly, and no longer feel lost in this vast world. I'll see you in the next video, where we will continue opening doors you once believed no one could ever enter.